The biggest mistake I see is entrepreneurs who claim they work with 7 and 8 figure business owners, but they do struggle marketing. It's like, baby, you don't work with me. Me and my friends, we are not trying to make our first $1,000. We do not need your payment plan for 25 years on a $100 payment. We do not need Klarna for $199. If you do struggle marketing, don't be shocked when you get struggle clients. So your language is critical. Now, that said, if you have luxury language, you will still attract people who aren't there, but who aspire to be there. And when you aspire to be somewhere, what do? You act like you're there. So you're going to come into the situation and you're going to be like, okay, I'm not there yet, but I want to learn more about how do I get there. You're not going to be offended that someone is selling you something. You have to nail your messaging. And the only way you nail your messaging is not by just studying it, it's by embodying it.
Imagine making the next big investment in your business without worrying about how you secure the capital to do it. Every day you're putting in the work. You clock in at your job, you stay up late to work on your business, you handle your family responsibilities, but hard work isn't enough to create financial freedom. Here's why so many entrepreneurs still feel stuck. Business credit approvals keep slipping through your fingers. The advice that you've been given doesn't match the results. And you've invested in yourself, but without having the right structure, it hasn't paid off. It's not that you're not capable, it's just that the path that you've been given is broken. That's why I created the Fast Track to Capital. It's a proven framework that entrepreneurs are using to boost their credit so that lenders can trust them, structure their business so that banks see them as credible, and access $50,000 to $100,000 in business credit so they can finally act on opportunities. This isn't about working harder. It's about applying the same structure that wealthy entrepreneurs have been using for years. So if you're ready to stop spinning your wheels and actually move forward, click the link above or below this video to secure your spot in the free masterclass, and I'll see you on the other side of success.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Marvin Francois Show, your #1 source for all things business, finance, and investing. And today is a very special day because our guest today is a wife, mother, entrepreneur, investor, public speaker, mentor, strategist, thought leader, and business sales expert extraordinaire. She's the founder and CEO of Speak Your Way to Cash, a multi-million-dollar coaching organization helping entrepreneurs and established professionals secure 6- and 7-figure corporate deals using her strategic positioning and pitching frameworks. From a trial lawyer turned entrepreneur to an Inc. 5000 company owner, her path to prosperity has been anything but traditional. And yet, she's taken her years of experience to help viewers just like you turn your presentations into profit, your words into wealth, and leverage your credibility as an expert into cash flow for your business. And whether she's hosting virtual summits, teaching her 7-figure sales frameworks, or speaking on stages all across the country, debunking the limiting beliefs that keep most professionals from making more money than they ever even knew was imaginable, her mission remains the same: to teach you how to package, position, and pitch your offer through a process that's built to last so you can finally speak your way to cash. And today, she's here to do more of the same. Ladies and gentlemen, from Flossmoor, Illinois, I'm here with the one, the only, Mrs. Ashley Kirkwood. What's going on, family? How are you?
Hey, I'm doing good. What an incredible introduction. Definitely, I think that's like the best introduction I've had.
I'll take it, Ashley. I'll take it.
Incredible.
I appreciate it. How are you? Welcome to the Marvin Francois Show.
I am great. I'm really good.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm very excited to have you. We talked a little bit about it off camera, but long time coming. I've watched you from afar, and you are fantastic. And my goal for this interview is to make sure that everybody else who watches that, if they didn't know before, they're definitely going to know it afterwards. So I'm looking forward to it.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
100%. So obviously I did a solid job kind of setting the stage for who you are, but nobody knows Mrs. Kirkwood better than the woman herself. So for those who are unfamiliar, let's get them familiar. Who exactly is Ashley Kirkwood?
So I am, I get this question so much, and I'm always like, how am I going to answer this question? I am a child of God. You know, I'm an educator. I think above all else, like I really have educated experts on how to take their licenses and their certifications and their degrees and turn it into a revenue generating business. And I did it not because I wanted to be an entrepreneur all my life. I always wanted to be a lawyer, but I really, really, really love my husband, and I hated how, you know, with his job, he would always be like, oh, I can't go on vacation. And I was like, what if we had our own business? And my dream was always really to work with him. And after working in corporate and suffering what so many of us suffer, which is the disrespect of it and the alienation of being the only one, I was kind of forced into entrepreneurship, even though I never thought I'd be an entrepreneur because I did not want to be a strugglepreneur. And I liked my every 2-week paycheck. I was making $300,000 when I left my day job as a partner track lawyer, started my own law firm first, and experts were coming to me like, oh, draft this contract for this big speaking gig that I got. And I'm like, oh, yeah, girl, it's going to be $3,500 to draft the contract. They were like, well, I'm only getting paid $5,000 to speak. And I'm like, who's the client? And they were naming some of the largest tech and Fortune 100 companies that you could think of. And I'm like, why aren't they paying you more? So I wouldn't draft the contract because it would have been like net equal. They would have paid me the same amount they were making to speak. So I'm like, hey, let me go and renegotiate with the company, get you more money, and then I'll draft the agreement after I renegotiate it. And my husband would be watching me do this time and time again, and he was like, you're not getting paid for that. Like, you're only getting paid to draft an agreement. You're renegotiating it. You're giving them an offer. You're coaching these people. You're hosting negotiation calls. You're revising the contract time and time again. And he's like, of course they love you as their lawyer because this is the cheapest deal ever. And so I'm like, okay. So we started our own separate business called Speak Your Way to Cash, where we would teach offer development, sales, and strategy and how they could land big clients without me having to do all the negotiation, how they can negotiate for themselves and set their offers up to actually scale their businesses. And so that's kind of how Speak Your Way to Cash started. It was just a one-time event with 10 people. And now it has grown into a multi-million-dollar event property. And it's one of the many events that we do in our organization.
I love it. Let's unpack that a bit more because, for me, it's always very interesting. Typically the most successful entrepreneurs that I sit down with, it's never that they came from a situation in their career path or their corporate path where like they weren't successful. It's usually that they were successful and they were making pretty good money, but there was always just something else that was missing, or they always knew there was something more to it, or something pushed them, right, to go ahead and take that leap. You talked about coming from the law background, making very good money.
Yeah.
But ultimately, who we see sitting here today, although you have the law background, is not that person anymore. Talk to me a little bit more about that season and that push moment that finally put you into entrepreneurship going forward.
Yeah, so I loved practicing law. And I think that no one goes to school for 3 years of law school, 4 years of undergrad. I was a super senior, so I was probably an undergrad like 6 years. But you go to all that undergrad, all that school. I was in school between undergrad and law school, total 9 years, in order to become an attorney because I was a super senior, y'all. So don't be doing the math. Like, law school's only 3 years. I only did law school in 3 years, but undergrad took me a long time. And I loved it. I loved the law. I wanted to be a lawyer since I was a little girl. But what I did not love was the passive aggressive nature of the corporate environment. And I didn't love being overlooked and my ideas being regurgitated by a white man and then being taken more seriously. And inevitably, I have pride. And I think that it's one of my faults, but it's also what caused all this because it was only so many times I was going to tolerate disrespect in the workplace. And the last day that I left, I'll never forget, like my boss at the time came into my office and she's like, the paralegal doesn't want you summoning her to your office anymore. And I was like, what do you mean summoning? Like, she comes to my office like she's a paralegal. Like, it's just not a big thing, you know? And she was like, well, she went to law school just like you. Just because she didn't pass the bar doesn't mean she should be summoned to your office. Now, of course, the paralegal was a white woman. Of course. And I'm like, well, she went to law school just like me, but she's not barred like I am. And she's like, yeah, but you make so much more than her. None of this being my problem. None of this being my issue. I didn't even know the woman didn't want me coming to her office, but she was really mad about it. So I started doing my research and found that I would have been the third Black woman to have left within a year if I would have quit this job. And this was not at my first law firm, which was amazing. It was my second law firm. And
was this Kirkland and Ellis?
Kirkland & Ellis was the first law firm. They were amazing.
Gotcha.
But I left Kirkland. I went on medical leave, and I felt like no one at the firm reached out to me, and I was just like, I was being courted by other law firms. Because here's the thing: before you have I won't say the word, but you know how they say F you money.
Gotcha.
I didn't have that, so I had free you job offers, okay? So I had free you job offers. I always was interviewing. I always was just keeping relationships open. So it was a couple of other firms that were courting me. Plus, we say being the only Black person is bad. The one perk of it is, which it is bad, I want us to get more, but the one perk of it is when it's not that many of you, you are like a rare diamond. You think that you're like this, this person to be cast aside, but you are a diamond, you are rare. I was Northwestern cum laude, worked at Kirkland, got in the newspaper for winning a trial while I was at Kirkland, leading that trial, youngest lawyer in the trial bar at the time, had done more federal trials than some partners at the firm, and it was a trial firm. So I had my stats, and it was always people recruiting me, and I went on medical leave at Kirkland, felt like they didn't reach out, but they did pay me. And I think looking back, I should have just said something. I never said like, hey, why didn't anyone like reach out? Like, did y'all know I was sick? Because it was such a fast-paced environment.
Right.
I got in my own feelings. I got in my own head. I started telling myself my own stories, and I left one of the best jobs that I'd ever had. I go to this new place who had recruited me for 3 years, and within the first week, I knew I'd made a mistake. So much so, I called people at Kirkland back and was like, will y'all take me back? I made a mistake. And I called like all the black partners there. I was like, come on, brother, please, brother, please. And he was like, I'm so sorry. I don't have the power.
Right.
And it made me realize like these people were equity partners at this firm making millions of dollars without real equity. Because real equity is power. Real equity is this young sister was killing it here. We're bringing her back.
Yeah.
Like that's real power. And they just couldn't get it done. And so I was like, okay, cool. So I stay at this firm. They're disrespectful. She does this whole thing with the partner. So with the paralegal, I go in her office and I'm like, look, I would be the third black woman to leave within a year if I leave. Why can't y'all keep black women here? And she ain't like that question. Next thing I know, I got an HR meeting, and the HR meeting was like, I really feel like I got fired, but it all happened so fast. It's like such a blur. I can't even remember what they said because I was so hot. But after that, I remember my husband was out of town on a work meeting. I called my one friend from college who I knew would be down for all the shenanigans. You have that friend who was like, you called him, they with it. You know, I call him, I'm like, Beans, I got to move all my stuff out this office tonight. Chris is out of town. Will you help me out? He's like, oh, I'm there. Send the address. So I move everything out of the office that I want before the next day, right after this crazy meeting. And I never go back. Like, I literally never go back. Now, here's the kicker. They'd given me a signing bonus.
Okay.
And the signing bonus was $60,000.
Oh, my.
And in the terms of the agreement was like, if you leave before the end of this signing bonus, you got to give this bonus back.
Right.
So the chairman of the firm calls me and he's like, all right, well, we need our signing bonus back.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, but between you and I don't think I should be giving that money back because I'm not leaving because I want to leave. I'm leaving because you all did not hold up your end of the bargain. And I'm like, well, we could do this one or two ways. If I give you the signing bonus back, then guess I'll have to talk about this experience on TV and on the news and on every podcast I go on, and I have to use your name and I'll have to tell everyone my story. And I love the media because I was already a legal correspondent and I worked with various publications. That's why y'all wanted me because I was always in the news. I was like, or we could just forget this little conversation and I could go about my way and I won't do a press tour about this.
The lawyer and her came out.
Yeah, I was like, we could go our separate ways. Like, y'all didn't do right.
Right.
Like, I didn't have no problems at Kirkland. It was a great firm. I come over here, I got all these problems. Like, no. And it was interesting because at Kirkland, when I felt like there was an issue with it's always, I don't know, paralegals, Lord Jesus. But it was another paralegal at Kirkland, and it was a similar situation. She just was like, you're the bottom of the totem pole, and I'm not going to do this work for you. I went and told the partner at Kirkland, and they were like, we hear you. No one should feel that way. Which paralegals do you want to work with? And I was like, I know exactly who I want to work with, and I didn't have no problem since. I chose my own team, and I was fine. So it really was just like sometimes companies think you're being combative, but they just would not hear you out. And at the end of the day, like, I do say Kirkland's name because I thought they were a great firm. Like, I felt like I had fair opportunities. Every trial that I did, I would go in partner's office and be like, I want to be the best trial lawyer ever. You're one of the best. I want to work for the best. Can I be on your trial? No partner ever was like, no. You won't have that opportunity. And when a partner tried to take me off a case, I would go right above their head to whoever brought in more business. And I was like not following the protocol. If you got a job, do not do this. Okay, first of all, y'all, this is not how to keep a job. Y'all see I left both the firms. But like I always had allies in high places.
Right.
And so if you want to survive corporate as a black person in America, you better have some allies that bring in a ton of money. Like you need allies in high places that see your brilliance, not as a threat, but as an asset. Because other than that, you're just not going to survive and you need to ask for what you want. And I did that, and that was acceptable at my first firm. It was not really acceptable at all at my second firm. But it's a blessing because if I would have stayed at Kirkland, I probably would I'd be a partner now, and I would be making a ton of money, but I wouldn't have the life that I love that I have now.
So let's now, we go from high-paying job at law firm to now you leave and you're pretty much out on your own. Where does the introduction to entrepreneurship now happen? Walk me through that.
So, I always had them for you job offers. So even when I left the second firm, it was another firm trying to recruit your girl. So I go and talk to them, get the job, think it's going to be amazing. But I come back home from that interview and I'm like, you know what, Lord, I pray this prayer and I'm like, God, I want a job that's custom made for me. And literally I hear God say, well, you're going to have to make it. And I'm like, well, I got to make it. I just got this great job offer. Like, I think this next firm will be custom made for me. They rescind my offer. And that never happens. And I'm like, why do they rescind my offer? This doesn't make any sense. And they're like, well, you worked on a case at your first firm that precludes you from working here. And our client won't waive what's called conflicts. It was a conflict of interest. And I'm like, okay. I didn't clear conflict. So I go out and do more interviews at other firms. And these firms are way smaller than every firm that I had other offers at. I'm overqualified for these jobs and none of them will hire me. And I'm just like, why won't they hire me? Like, I'm overqualified. And I hear God again, like, you said custom made, so get to working. Because I done checked all my jobs. None of them gonna work for you. Like, you would be unhappy again eventually. And so I just start my firm. I go to my husband and I'm like, what if I start my own business? Now, I had started several other businesses and they failed. So my husband was like, okay, here are the parameters under which I will support this. And he's like, 6 months to make some money, 12 months to make it sustainable. So he gave me a 6-month runway and he was like, I'm not going to complain. I'm going to support you. Like 6 months. I'm not going to even worry about it. And he did say, I still want to go on our trips to Thailand because, we had gotten used to some things.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, well, we could do that. Like, I'll figure it out. And so I just take that time and I start figuring out digital marketing. I saw this girl who was doing live videos and every week she would sell some digital products. Shout out to Bianca Robinson. She was the first coach that I'd hired and I just called her and I think it was like $200. And I was like, how much for you to sit down with me and just tell me how you're doing these live videos and selling these digital products? And she was like $200 or something. So I did it. And then I booked another call with her and she was like, go live every day and then sell something on Friday. I was like, okay. So I did that. And then I started figuring out, okay, well, this works, but this isn't really my style. Because I started selling like $67 ebooks, posting about the law. I tagged myself the lit lawyer. Like it was like lit because I'm fun, but also lit because I did litigation. And so I was trying to find my voice online. And I realized that all of the things that made me successful in corporate wouldn't have made me successful necessarily, not all the things, but they wouldn't have all made me successful in entrepreneurship. So wearing the black suit and the gray, not really standing out as much, trying to, play the corporate game and get people on your side and like not being 100% authentic, like being as authentic as acceptable. Right. What really made me successful in entrepreneurship was when I was able to shed all those layers and stop being so scared of using my voice. Like I would make posts and delete them because it had a typo or it had a grammatical error, which in law, like I missed a comma and a partner was like, perfection is the standard. You cannot miss a comma. So I was traumatized. I was trying to make posts. I was like, Lord Jesus, this typo, they're going to think I'm stupid. They're not going to hire no lawyer that can't write. This is bad. And I had to get over that fear of being wrong. Right. Like that was the fear. Like if I'm wrong, it's over. And once I got rid of all that, I was able to find my voice, and you only find your voice through using it. Yeah. And it's the hardest thing for, like, especially my folks, they all are licensed and certified, and they will go get a degree in a minute, child. They got 59,000 degrees, okay? And it is so difficult because at the end of entrepreneurship, you don't get a grade. Yeah. You might get a check or not, right? Yeah. So you might get a check. So I had to get over all of that, and then that's really when entrepreneurship started taking off. And when I stopped looking at my competitors and started looking at my past experiences. I was trying to price like other lawyers who didn't have my experience. Like they'd never worked in big law, didn't graduate from a top law school, didn't work for billion-dollar companies, but I'm trying to copy them. I'm trying to charge $2,000 for a trademark like them. I'm putting myself in that category. And looking at my competitors as my standard put me in a group to compete amongst people that I should not have been competing with. It put me in the wrong category. So once I started looking at my experience and I started talking about that online, but in an authoritative positioning, like your lawyers ain't never been inside a courtroom, so they can't draft you a contract to keep you out of one. Like that was when everything went up. Because they were like, you're right. I was like, I'm a mobile general counsel. I'm not an internet lawyer. Like general counsels that's like the head of a legal department at a Fortune 500 company. I've sat in boardrooms with Fortune 500 companies. I've been in rooms with billionaires. I understand the aggression that they take with protecting their clients. I'm bringing all of that to small businesses. The lawyers that you are comparing me to don't stand a chance against me because I will go to court. They've only read about it. And that was when people were like, I want her. She's a pit bull. And that really did like change the game for me. And I stopped selling one-off trademarks alone, and I started selling subscription packages, $5,000 to $15,000 to $20,000 per month. And that took the law firm to the next level. And then we sold licensed products, and we had 5-figure speaking contracts with, AbbVie Pharmaceuticals. Blue Cross Blue Shield ended up paying me in bulk to coach all of their vendors that they had on their platform who were doing business with them. And so we started structuring deals in a really creative way. I started it was just like a level of freedom that unlocked for me to make my company my own instead of modeling it after what I saw.
So we now go from, you get the 1-year runway from your husband.
Yep.
You go from selling on Instagram Live and you're just like, this ain't working for me. And kind of just finding your footing and finding your way. Like you said, finding your voice to where now it sounds like you start to get your footing through scaling essentially the mobile general counsel business.
Mobile general counsel, yeah.
When does speaking now come into it? When do you now start getting to the point where not only are you starting to speak on stages or speak at these different corporate events, but also coaching other individuals on it as well? That's
a good point. So I'm building the law firm. So the whole time I'm speaking. So I've been speaking since I was 4 years old. My first paid speaking engagement was, I think it was $100 from a church. So I'm doing all of this like quasi-paid. It's paid, but it ain't livable. It ain't livable.
It ain't pay. It's like
I can't teach nobody that. Just go to your church on Sunday, ask for some dinner. They go pay you. So I'm doing all of that while I'm a lawyer. But in my mind, I can't make speaking a full-time living because it's too fun. So in my mind, I like it too much. This is too much fun. There's no way I'm going to get to do what I love every single day. So I started a law firm because it made sense. Like when you come from corporate, your first business probably should be a business that makes sense to you, where you can leverage exactly what you know to start a business. But whenever you're not operating in your purpose, you're always going to have a side hustle because you're trying to fill that void of what you really want to do, which for me has always been coaching and speaking. So I was speaking at churches, speaking at colleges. And the first time that I got $1,000 to speak was while I was working at that job I didn't like. And it was because I was in Crane Chicago Business 20 in their 20s. So I was on the list the same year that Oprah and Barack Obama were on the 40 in their 40s list. So I was on the 20 in their 20s list. Barack and Oprah were on the 40 in their 40s list for Crane Chicago Business, like rising stars.
Right.
And a school called me and they were like, how much for you to come speak? And I'm like, how much for me to come speak? Well, I had gotten 100 from the church, so I was like, 1,000. They said yes so fast. I was like, oh no, I got to learn more about this because that was way too low. So I start writing a book while I'm at this job that I don't like on the side because, again, trying to fill that purpose void. And I write a book because law students are calling me asking, Ashley, you almost failed out of undergrad. How did you get into Northwestern? And I'm like, I can't talk to all y'all because I got a job, a real deal 50, 60, 70, sometimes 80, 90-hour-a-week job, which is law. And so I write The Law School Hustle. Well, that book helped so many law students to transfer law schools, but it was also the book that led me to get paid speaking engagements because I hired an intern who graciously worked for free. Shout out to you, sis. Hope you're somewhere being blessed. She graciously worked for free calling all the law schools in the country, setting up a book tour. And they would either pay for my rate, which was $5,000 at the time, or they would bulk buy my books. Or they would put me in a room of 300 law students, and my husband and I would sell my books back of the room. And we knew, based on the numbers at their event, if we could make $3,000 to $5,000 in cash book sales. So I got really good at selling from the stage, not from selling coaching, but from selling books at events. So my husband would stand in the back of the room, and he'd be like, okay, babe, we only sold 50 books last time, like last session. This time, when you do your session, I want you to wave the book. I want you to talk about on page 45. If you read this on page 45, for those of you who have your books, oh, you don't have a book? Okay. After this, we'll make sure all of you get the book. But just know, write down page 45 in your notes. And he was like, if you do that, we're going to sell. So the next session, we would sell 100 books. And he was like, okay, they need to make you the main stage speaker because then you could sell thousands of books and we could sell them cash. So the first time we did this because we got paid to be there, but it was nominal, maybe like $3,000.
Right.
But the book sales will bring in an extra $4,000. So now we're like $4,000 cash. We got $3,000 to be there. And I used to only make $1,000 to speak. So I'm like, okay, this is dope. What if we can get the college to bulk buy books, 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, and 1,000? If we can do that, we can waive our fee based on the number of books that they buy. So people are seeing me like sell these books, go to all these different colleges, and eventually we got a $25,000 college speaking contract because we stopped just looking at the people who would call me, and we started doing aggressive outreach to schools. And I joined associations like the national, it's called NACA, NACA.
NACA, yeah.
Yep, NACA and APCA. APCA was really good for us because I actually paid to speak $1,200 to APCA, but most people, first off, if you pay for something, negotiate your deal.
Yeah.
Because I would pay to speak. That's what everyone had to do. But I was like, look, if I pay to speak, I want to do the opening session, the closing session, and I want to do 2 breakout sessions. I want to speak as much as humanly possible. I want to open it. I want to close it. I want to do 2 breakouts. I did that, got a speaker's reel from that one engagement. And one of the colleges that we met there was our first $25,000 college client, introduced us to several more. And they did not book me at the actual conference, which was amazing. Because if you book me at the conference, you're comparing me to all the other speakers at the conference.
Yeah.
And all their rates were horrible. Oh my gosh. Lowered their rates. It was like, I'll do it for $3,000. I'll do it for $2,000. I was like, I can't compete here. Okay, because y'all like, can you do it for $1? No, ma'am. No, sir. So I just kept following up with them, and I would pitch them separately. And during the pandemic, we had closed a 5-figure deal with them, and we couldn't do it because it was March. And March 2020 was the pandemic. They were going to be my University of Tennessee. They were going to be my last contract before giving birth to my daughter, who was born in May. They canceled it. I lost $30,000 in speaking contracts from colleges in a week, and I'm about to give birth.
Hey.
And I was like, I looked at my husband. I'm like, babe, this is not good. Now, at the time, I still had the law firm, which was great. So I'm 6.5 centimeters dilated, about to give birth, and I'm closing contracts. Like, I didn't even tell clients that I was pregnant because I was so worried that they were just going to like pull all of the contracts. And I told Chris, I was like, look, they was like, we need to do a C-section. I was like, I've Googled it. It says that's an 8-week recovery. Ma'am, I got to work. So we're going to have to do this regular. And I'm like, they're like, you need to do a C-section. I'm like, send me the data on that. They sent me the data. They were like, it's a 9% risk. I said, 9% is not that big of a risk. Like, we're going to try it regular. And if anything happens, we'll do this. So it worked out. Like, I was signing contracts. I was back to work in 2 weeks. But it was hard. I mean, you lose $30,000 in speaking contracts, and that was just from pitching and doing direct outreach. So we start pitching 300 colleges per week. I hired a VA just to do that while I'm running a law firm. And that led to, after about 6 months or so, that's bringing in its own 6-figure revenue stream just in speaking contracts.
Wow.
And then during the pandemic, it turned out to be a blessing because we were already virtual for our firm. So we started getting corporate contracts. Corporations started looking at our live videos, which weren't even for corporate. It was for, entrepreneurs and legal. But we started doing more mindset work to keep people's spirits up. They started booking me for doing like confidence training and communications training. So FCB, an advertising firm, hired us, 5-figure contract. Philip Morris hired me for a 5-figure contract. This company in Canada, $17,000, $500 for like 30 minutes online. And we were landing these contracts and people were like, how? And so we did an event, Speak Your Way to Cash. At first, it was just to show them how to land college contracts. By 2020, we also had a lot of corporate contracts, so we were showing them how to do that. And also how to, get retainer clients, because our law firm had grown pretty quickly from that. So that's how it all kind of evolved.
And to God be the glory. And now here we are today. So let's unpack that, because like you said, you've pretty much been speaking for a very long time. It's your passion. It's essentially what you've built your business and your brand around. And now you're educating not only entrepreneurs, but also professionals alike on how they can take that skill and use it to grow their business. You talk a lot about selling from the stage. I want to start first with the first part of that, which is selling, because I feel like for most entrepreneurs, and I'm sure for most professionals, that's kind of the biggest thing they struggle with. Yeah. Where they have the talent, they're experts at what they do, but they don't know how to sell. And I think you do a very great job of kind of helping to unpack that. What is your definition of sales or selling that you normally coach your clients on?
Sales is just the transference of belief.
Okay.
So I think that everyone knows how to sell what they love and what they believe in. Because there's women who be like, oh, I don't know how to sell. But if they wanted their husband to buy them something, they would know how to sell. They'd be like, babe, you got to get it. You don't understand. She gave me this deal. It's only one day. I got to do. You're just transferring the belief you have in this product to him. You should feel that same way about your offer. I think sometimes people don't believe in their offer enough to sell it. Because if you really believe, and you're a good person, that what you have could change someone else's life, you would be doing them a disservice not to sell it. Like it wouldn't even be a thing. Like if I have a tire and your tire is flat, but I own a tire shop, I'm going to be like, no, I think your tire is going to burst any minute. Like, you have to buy this tire. I'm telling you right now, if you go down the street, that guy is shady as all get out. He's going to sell you a tire that's used. He's going to say it's new. You should trust me. I can't trust anyone else. I know what we do. I know our integrity. Buy from me. Like, this is how I'll let you test it out. I'll let you, like, we would know how to sell. Sales is just transference of belief. So there's typically two things happening. One, you don't believe in the stability of your offer. So if your offer is stable, like it's solid, it's tested, it's true, sell it. Because all you're doing is helping them. You're not doing anyone a disservice. I can't tell you how many people I'm just grateful that they sold me their offer because it helped me. Like Bianca, my first coach, $200. Thank you. Okay. Thank you for teaching me live videos. Okay. Russell Brunson, I just did his $1 million offer. I flew my whole team to Idaho and they trained us. I just got the copy tonight. I'm like, thank you for releasing this offer. Thank you for taking my money. There's so many people. Lamar Tyler, I've worked with him before. Like, I'm in his mastermind and have been for a minute. Thanks for taking the money. Like, great. I got to finish paying that off when I get on the plane. So I'm just grateful that people weren't afraid to sell. And I know for a fact, for everybody watching this, there are people right now that are either waiting for you to sell them something because they need it, or they're so grateful that whatever fear and insecurity you have didn't stop you from sending that invoice.
What if the next time you heard from the banks, it was a $50,000 to $100,000 approval letter instead of another denial? You've been putting in the work, balancing your job, your business, and your family responsibilities. But here's the truth that most entrepreneurs never hear. Hard work alone is not enough to get the banks to say yes. Banks approve entrepreneurs who are structured the right way, and that's the missing piece that's been holding you back all along. We've seen it over and over again. Entrepreneurs who came to us who were stuck getting denial after denial got access to the right system, structure, and strategy that unlocked $50,000, $75,000, and even $100,000 credit approvals. And here's the real cost of waiting. Every month you go without having access to capital is another month where your opportunities are slipping into another business's hands. That's why we created the Fast Track to Capital, a free masterclass where we break down the exact steps needed to make yourself look fundable to banks so that you can access the capital needed to scale your business. We only do this training a limited amount of times per year, so if you're ready to secure your spot, click the link above or below this video so that you don't go another year without having the access to capital that your business needs.
What are some of the easiest, if I know I have a tried and proven offer, but sales just seems like this tall mountain that I just can't bring myself to climb, whether I'm an entrepreneur or professional, what are some of the easiest frameworks that I could start implementing to start improving how I show up in the marketplace and sell my offer?
Okay. So topic, target, pitch.
Okay.
So topic is going to be your offer. So that's exactly what you're selling. You know what the topic of your offer is. You know the elements of your offer. So you already got that. Target is going to be your prospects. You need a list of at least 100 prospects that you could focus in on and sell to them. And when I say prospects, you need to know the job title of the person that you're going to sell to or the characteristics of the buyer that you're going after. So if you're selling to corporate, you need the job title. So you need to know, are you talking to the CEO, the director of marketing? I'm here today. I was talking to the director of sponsorships for a company because we're getting our event sponsored. So you need to know the job title. When you know the job title, you can go to a tool like Apollo.io or any number of tools to actually put in that job title and get a list of thousands of people who have that job title. Those are going to become your prospects. Now, if you can't just use a job title, like let's say you sell to small business owners, you can't always use a job title. Sometimes it's CEO, but you're going to want to know their characteristics because your content and your paid advertising is going to find that avatar for you, and you're going to put them into a very specific funnel. So the first step is, okay, who are you selling to? If you're selling to corporate, get that job title, get those emails, and then do a 7-part email outreach system to book a call. Now, the call is where people get freaked out because they're like, okay, I pitch, I did that, but now they want to talk. What do I say? Very simple. You're going to have a roadmap. You're going to get on that call and you are going to lead the call. Do not get on that call talking about well, thank you so much for meeting with me. Yeah, all right. Yeah. All right. No, you need to lead the call. So you need to write yourself a script. You're going to start off with a roadmap. Hey, thank you so much for meeting with me. Here's how the call is going to go. I'm going to ask you some questions about what made you book the call and really how we can best help you. And if I think there's something that I can do to make your life easier, I'm going to offer it to you at the end of this call, and we'll talk about next steps. Does that sound good? They're going to say yes. It also builds that authority where now they're like, okay, she's going to be in the driver's seat. I can relax. It is so awkward for everybody when you don't know who's driving. That push-pull thing. And with my college clients, they're so sweet. They would talk all day. So if we didn't have a roadmap, we're there all day. With corporate, they're annoyed because they don't like meetings. They're already in a lot of other meetings. But if they're on the call, there's a real reason why they're on that call.
Yeah.
After you do your roadmap, now you're going to go into your fact finding. Your fact finding should be questions aligned exactly with your offer. So if your offer is like corporate training, corporate training on confidence, we have a framework called MBA, Mindset, Beliefs, and Actions Equal Your Confidence. So I would ask questions about how they're regulating the mindset of their employees and how are they tracking it? What are their, how do they know what their employees believe about their trajectory at the job? And then what actions are they taking every single week, month, or every quarter to ensure that employees are happy at work? So once they answer those questions, then I'm going to say, okay, great. It sounds like, and then this is my favorite sales question. If you can wave a magic wand and get anything you want as it relates to making your employees more confident, what would you do? How would that world look? And when I present my offer, I would say, okay, great. So it sounds like your team is struggling with A, B, and C. Did I understand that right? Am I regurgitating that correctly? They're going to say yes. And then I'm going to say, well, if I had an offer that could actually improve their confidence and tangibly track their confidence and their belief system and improving their ability to feel confident at work and passionate about their job, would you be interested in hearing about that? And they'll say yes. And then I'll tell them about our offer. All three levels of it, and then I'll give them the prices. And before I give them the price, I'd explain the offer. And then before talking about the price, I would say, which one of those packages do you think your employees would find most valuable?
Assume close.
Yes. So I'd get them locked into that based on the value of the offer. And then I'd say, okay, great. Package 1 is $15,000. Package 2 is $35,000. And package 3 is $100,000. Now, are those rates in alignment with what you expected to spend to solve this problem? Now they're going to say, actually, I think we only budgeted about $10,000 for this. I don't know what you could do or whatever. And then I'm like, okay, well, at $10,000, you wouldn't be able to get a senior trainer, but we may be able to put something together for a junior trainer. If I could get you something that worked at $10,000, could we send that contract over and would you be able to sign it before the end of this week? And then you see what they say. But you always talk money on the sales call. The issue that I see is business owners don't talk money. Even before I came out here, about the meeting for sponsorship today, I told them the rates. I was like, we have 2 levels of sponsorship, $150,000 and $350,000. Does that sound good? And they were like, yeah, we'd love to see you on Tuesday. And I was like, okay, great. Now, when we got here, we had to talk about rates. They're like, well, we don't know if we could do this package. We may be able to do this package. We do want to work with you. We're very interested. We want to get this done. But what if I would have never talked rates and the first time they heard $350,000 is when I got here? They may be offended. Like, why would you waste my time? Why would you do that? But now they already knew the numbers.
Yeah.
And so if you make money a big deal, it'll always be a big deal. If you don't make it a big deal, then it's just not a big deal. We're just figuring out where the comma is going to go. We're not talking about, well, I don't got no budget at all, blah, blah, blah. They put everything, because I was transparent. They were like, great, this is what we normally spend on sponsorship. This is what it typically looks like. This is what we need to happen. And we were able to give them a customized package in a 6-figure offer. And we're just waiting we're literally just waiting to see where the comma's going to go. But that's the structure of a sales call. Now, if you're selling directly to business owners, you may be using webinars or live events, and that's a lot of what we do and what we teach in our event called Millions from the Stage, which is my upcoming book. That's a different funnel because you may not be using email outreach. You may be using a webinar. So the way you fill your webinar is with content and advertising. So in that instance, your messaging is critical.
Talk a bit about that.
So you want to nail your messaging. I have a couple of rules, and this is based on my value system. I don't sell to broke folks, okay? I do not sell to broke folks. Now, what I mean by that is I'm not a payday loan store. I think payday loan stores, they target certain communities, they use language for certain communities, and you can tell it's like free, 59% interest. Free, you know what I mean?
Fast,
it's like, fast, free, come in today.
Yeah.
You didn't get your check? That's okay. You want to get your money? Don't wait 2 weeks for your money. You get your money today. All of that is language for people who are in financial straits. The biggest mistake I see is entrepreneurs who claim they work with 7- and 8-figure business owners, but they do struggle marketing. It's like, baby, you don't work with me. You don't work. Me and my friends, we are not trying to make our first $1,000. Okay, we are not. We do not need your payment plan for 25 years on a $100 payment. Okay, we do not need Klarna for $199. So if you do struggle marketing, don't be shocked when you get struggle clients.
Yeah.
So your language is critical. Now, that said, if you have luxury language, if you use luxe language, you will still attract people who aren't there, but who aspire to be there. And when you aspire to be somewhere, what do? You act like you're there. So you're going to come into the situation and you're going to be like, okay, I'm not there yet, but I want to learn more about how do I get there. You're not going to be offended that someone is selling you something. Yeah. So you have to nail your messaging. And the only way you nail your messaging is not by just studying it, it's by embodying it. So if you want to have high-end services, I want to know when, like I was coaching a woman and she was like, I want to get more high-end clients. And I was like, name your favorite luxury hotel.
Hey.
And it took her a minute. And I was like, okay, what is it? And I think she named the Waldorf. And I was like, okay, the Waldorf is decent. It's not bad. Depending on the city. In New York, I'm sure the Waldorf is 5-star.
Okay.
But depending on where you're at, it may be a little bit different. But there's one hotel brand where if I go to it, I've gone to it in Bangkok, I've gone to it in Chicago, and the quality is the exact same. That's the Peninsula. The Peninsula nails luxury. And I was like, okay, great. So when you stayed there, what did you notice? So I was like, the next time, what I want you to do next is I want you to go there, and it's free to go to the lobby of any of these luxury hotels, and I want you to see what you notice. Do you see anyone running? Do you hear anyone yelling? Do you hear anyone talking loud? If you ask someone for something, how quickly do they get it for you? Do they ask your name first? Do they say your name? I'm like, luxury doesn't just have a look, it has a feel. Which is why there's people who can have luxury cars and it doesn't mean they're a luxury brand. Because luxury doesn't just have a look, it has a feel. I can rent a car. I can't fake a feel. So it's like, I told her this and I'm like, if you want high-end clients, you need to go where they go. You need to understand their psychology. I don't stay at 5-star hotels because I want to stunt. I stay there because I like peace. And so you want to make sure your brand isn't chaotic. Now, if you say you work with high-end brands, but you make a lot of excuses, you're lying to me. So luxury also doesn't make a lot of excuses. If I go to the Peninsula and I'm like, yeah, I need a sitter for my daughter, they give me a list of 10 agencies that are pre-vetted. They don't give me an excuse. Well, we don't do that. We don't provide nannies. We not no nanny service. Like luxury provides solutions. And so that's a big piece of it is like your messaging. And so also with messaging, you want to say the thing that your client is thinking, but would never say out loud because they're not there yet. So my clients would never admit out loud that they don't always feel successful. But they don't. Like, they are successful. Everyone in their family looks at them like they are successful. And what happens is success becomes a cage for them because while they are successful, they know that there's 10 levels above where they're at right now that they should be playing on, but they can't figure out how to get 10 levels above where they're at when everyone is looking at them like they're at the top. It's something they would never voice, but it's something that they actually feel. And I know that because I obsess over what my clients think, what they feel, what they do, what they say. I could meet a man at one of my events and I could be like, you're married to one of my clients. Because all of our husbands have a very similar leaning. Literally, they're supportive, they work hard. Oftentimes they're providers. They want their women to be successful and their women are successful in their own right. But if they had to hold the house down, they're not complaining about that. They're never involved in like petty woman stuff and man stuff, like those conversations about gender roles. Like most of the women, like the men that our women are typically married to that are in our program by and large are just not the type that are aggressively involved in that. They may agree with some things or not, but they're not messy men. You know what I mean? And so I could tell, like, because at our events, the husbands of our women, and we typically work with women. We have a couple of guys, but we mainly work with women. They come up to me at the event and they're like, thank you. My wife's confidence is up and I appreciate that, sis. They say stuff like that. That's a very different man than a man who's jealous of his wife's success. So it's like, I know the psychology of who we work with. And 27% of Black women are married. That was the most recent stat I saw. In our community, it's 60%. 47% of Black women have never been married, but in our community, 60% are married. So marriage is important to them. So that's a part of our value system. So it gets down to the psychology of like, who are you selling to? And can you exemplify your values through your sales process? So it's not just talk, it's actually embodied in everything that you do.
Powerful. I want to talk about another component because you just unpacked so much, but there was one thing that you slightly touched on that I want to dive deeper into because I think whenever people hear sales, they automatically think of this, which is price.
Oh, yeah, price, yeah.
There are entrepreneurs and professionals who are watching this right now that are charging $1,000 for a $10,000 offer and they don't even know it.
Yeah.
How do you coach around this? And from your experience, why are so many professionals and entrepreneurs struggling with this issue? Because it seems more reoccurring than we think.
It's a big thing. I mean, even for me, it was a big thing. So like my first talk was $100 because I assumed that, churches wouldn't pay. But I've since coached clients that have gotten $10,000, $15,000 from a church. I've coached mega pastors that get $40,000, $50,000 from a church. So it's not that the church won't pay. It's that my offer didn't present the value that the church needed to get the price. And one of the things that happens is when we only sell to clients that don't see our value, we start questioning our value instead of changing our target. So it could be that they are selling to people who can't afford their offer. And so their mindset is warped in terms of what's possible. So they're thinking I have proof that nobody will pay $50,000 for this. And I'm like, yeah, nobody that you're talking to. But that's not really the case for the industry. So I would tell people to do real deal market research. And market research is what unlocked for me new prices. So I went and for my first coaching offer, I did a Zoom call. I just emailed my whole list and I was like, hey, let's get on Zoom. I'm launching a new offer and I want to make sure that it's going to be helpful for you guys.
Yeah.
And I asked them on that Zoom call, I set up a Zoom call and anyone watching this can do this for free. So I hope y'all actually do it. If y'all are going to do it, drop done in the comments or something, because I really want you all to do this. You do a Zoom call and you launch polls during your Zoom call. That way people who don't feel comfortable just coming off mute don't have to do it in the beginning. And the first poll was, what are you all spending per month on coaching? And I had 2,000 to 5,000, 1,000 to 3,000, under 1,000. And to my surprise, most people on my email list were spending $2,000 to $5,000 per month on coaching. And I'm sitting here with a $30 a month offer.
Math ain't mathin'.
Math ain't mathin' at all. So then I say, okay, if I had an offer and I broke out what my first coaching program would be, and I was like, and it did all of these things, and we met every other week, and we did this, what price would you think I'd launch that at? And I gave them $15,000, $25,000, $10,000, $5,000, $1,000. And what most people think is if you give them the option for $1,000, that everyone will just say that because they want it to be low. But your best clients want you to be successful and they want you to be sustainably in the game. Think about coaching. People be leaving this. Fast.
Very fast.
They be lit during COVID. And then you look around, you're like, where your mastermind? Where your clients? Where the coaching at? They're like, sis, I had to get out of that joint. That joint was crazy, man. I'm like, oh. I'm like, okay. So I think even for me, if I have a coach and I saw him one day and he was looking a little tired, I was praying to Jesus. I was like, Jesus, please let this man get some rest, let him do well. Because I like being a part of his community. I want the people who I work with to do well. I want them to be healthy. I want them to be rich. I want them to be wealthy. I want them to have great marriages. I want people to do well, even when I'm the one paying.
Yeah.
I'd rather pay more if that means you can do well sustainably than pay less and then you broke and you mad at your spouse. No, I want everybody to be good. So people were honest. They were like 15,000. So when I launched it at 15,000. And I had two levels, 15,000 for 3 months, 25,000 for 6 months. And this was after having done our events for several years and getting people results. So that's another thing is we raised our prices as we raised our results. We didn't just off bat, because there is a such thing as overpricing your market. And the price you can't say with integrity and confidence might be the price you ain't ready to say yet. Possibly, especially if you have no results. And now if you ain't got no results for yourself, just cut it out, right? You got to at least have self results. But after getting results for yourself, when you have a framework, if they follow this process, other people are getting results. As that grows, you may want to increase your prices. And also that means the demand on your time is increasing. Yeah. The more clients you have, the more demand on your time is. So if you think of it like a hotel, if the hotel's 95% sold out, those last few remaining rooms are more expensive. Now, if ain't nobody in your hotel, you got a little bit of room to fill that hotel. You may have to price it what you need to price it to fill the hotel. But as you get more results and as people become brand ambassadors for you, you're going to raise your prices naturally. And so some people, it's just imposter syndrome. They should be charging more, but they're not. And then other people, they maybe should not be charging as much as they're charging based on the results. So if you just get the data from the market, from your people, that will tell you whether or not your pricing in alignment with what your audience can stomach. And if you find that they cannot stomach the prices, you need to change your audience, meaning change your messaging, change your branding, and change how you're targeting them.
To piggyback off of that, you actually have a quote that I love where you said, a lot of people raise their rates, but they never raise their standards. So I'm actually curious to know for you, if you're comfortable sharing, what's the most expensive offer that you have right now in your business, and what gave you, I'll use the word audacity, to go ahead and price it at that amount?
Oh, that's a good price. So right now, well, we have a $350,000 sponsorship offer.
Okay.
So that's that. We have $150,000 and a $350,000 sponsorship offer. Those are our two main sponsorship levels for our events. As our events have grown, we here's what gave us that audacity. We took sponsors at lower levels, and it was not worth the time and energy. Our events do millions of dollars. So me having to like accommodate a sponsor and they're paying like $10,000 was just a huge distraction from the main point of the event. And so I did a call. Y'all are going to see a theme, okay? I'm going to do some market research. I did a call with the founder of Create and Cultivate. She sent me her deck. She was amazing. I used an app called, I shouldn't really give y'all a free plug, but I used an app called Intro to book a call with her, which was great. And she was basically like, yeah, 150, 350. That's standard. And I was like, great.
And that was it.
And that was it. And so those were our new sponsorship rates from the date of the call. So I will say, once you get information, once you hear information, you are responsible for acting on it immediately.
Yeah.
Like any of you that have a speaking rate, it should be $15K. That is just, the average is like $8,900. Double it, make it 15. Our clients typically have more experience than a traditional, just run-of-the-mill motivational speaker. So I tell them, start your negotiations at least $15,000. If you've been doing it a while, 25 to 35. So that's that. And then in the coaching side of our business, we have a $100,000 mastermind, and it's sold out this year within a day. We can only take 4 people at that level, but we have over 105 people in our mastermind at between $35,000 and $100,000. 4 at that level. We have a $50,000 level that also filled up that we take a few people in, because those folks work with me personally.
Yeah.
And then our core mastermind is $35,000 for this year, but those rates are going up. Now, what gave me the audacity to have a $100,000 coaching offer that people paid in full for on the spot was that offer includes me reselling your offer back to you or back to your audience.
Oh,
so
okay.
if you host an event where you have at least 100 people, I will resell your offer back to you. So I've done that for several people. One of my friends called me and was like, will you resell my offer? And I was like, yep. And he made $450,000 in sales in 90 minutes of me doing the repitch. And that's after he had already sold his offer himself. And that was on a $22,000 offer.
Crazy.
So we sold hundreds of people into his offer in 90 minutes flat. And I wasn't even home. I was in a hotel in Orlando. I was actually at an event with Lamar's company. So I was like, I rented a little hotel room, did the pitch, and
This was virtual.
Yeah, it was, and it was virtual.
Wait, tell me. I thought this was in person. I know you like. How much?
$450,000 in revenue.
Lord have mercy. Keep going.
Yeah, and so I was like, I'm pretty good at this. And I helped a friend of mine resold her offer. And it was another 6-figure windfall. And so, I think at that point, I'm like, okay, what would I pay to make another $450,000? And that was on a low ticket offer. Like, imagine if it was a $10,000, a $20,000 offer, which is typically what our clients are selling. When I say we help experts land big clients, we're typically talking 10K and above. So that's really the mark. Now, for everyone, what a big client is different. If you've made zero money, your big client number is $10,000. If you have already made $10,000, 10x whatever your highest amount that you've made, that will be your big client number.
Yeah.
So that's your goal. You want to put that number in your mind. You want to think about that number, and we want to craft a plan to develop an offer for that number, whether it's a one-time amount or that is like what you want to make. Maybe it's like they pay that monthly over the year or something like that. So that's really what we're talking about, because most of our clients are moms, they are experts, and they're not like me and love working all the time. Like, they do really want that balance of, I could make an extra $500,000, $1 million this year and be fine without having hundreds of clients. They typically want like 10, maybe 15 clients at the correct amount so they can serve them deeply without burning out. So the receipts helped me to feel comfortable charging that. Like, I charge, and you're going to get 10x that value either in the short term or over the lifetime of either you doing business. Like, that's how I feel comfortable with all of our prices.
One of the reoccurring themes in listening to you speak, and I caught it, so I hope the audience caught it as well, 2 of them. Number 1, and it actually ties to another quote I've heard you say, where you said, messaging is more powerful than price. Your messaging should attract, but it should also repel.
Yes.
That's the first theme that I've gotten from listening to you speak. But the second one actually ties to a quote I heard Hormozi said, where he said, your business will never be too big for you to not speak with your customers. So the market research component that I think so many, especially people who are earlier on, overlooked. It's like you found somebody to pay you money, and you let that person walk about your business, and you ask them, hey, would you pay more? Would you pay less? What did you like? What didn't you like? And it sounds like for you, that constant research of either speaking to people who do what you do or people who have spent money in your business has been the number one thing that's given you the confidence to say, it's time to increase the prices. Or, okay, no, we got to make a fine-tuned adjustment here, or we need to make a change there. From the people that you coach, have you seen that those are the two biggest levers that have constantly not been touched that's kept them from making more money in their companies?
100%. You know what it is? It's market research and it's reps.
Talk about reps. Talk a little about that.
Reps is just like do more to get better faster. Mm-hmm. Like it's just the reps of like we did our first event had 10 people. We didn't just quit. You know, we did another event 3 months later. Right. And then we did another event 3 months after that. And then we did another event 3 months after that. And they grew. And then we did another event in Atlanta to test out that market. And it shrunk a little bit. And then we did another event. And then we were like, okay, well, what if we just did it annually, but we put all of our marketing efforts towards just selling this one event at the end of the year? And then it really grew. And what if we sold a higher priced offer? Because the first event, we didn't sell anything. The second event, we sold a 5K offer, and 3 people bought that. So we made $15K in a day. And I was like, oh my God, this is insane. We helped those people. They got results, and we're like, okay, we're going to expand out the program. And we iterate on our program. So I think another big thing is we think as entrepreneurs, we're going to create an offer, and then that's it. That's a masterpiece. Put that baby on the shelf. No. Even our mastermind, we iterate on it every single year to make it better. AI came out, so we built AI tools and platforms and team members. Everything we taught, we gave them an AI tool to actually implement. So we gave them implementers. We knew they needed team members. We gave them a database of VAs that were ready to hire. Like we gave them that we vetted, because my hiring process is insane. So I was like, look, I can't hire everybody, but I have 100 people who've tried to work here. I have all of their, all of their videos. I have all of this. I have all of that. Like, if you're looking to hire, I can ask those people if they're willing to, work for another company. So we iterate on our offer, but the reps is critical. The reps is like, I'm gonna do a webinar today. Recently, this year, I did a webinar every day for a week. I did a daily, nightly webinar because I wanted to validate a new offer at $10,000, and I wanted to see if I could sell it on a webinar. By night 2, I had made my first sale for this $10,000 offer on a webinar, no sales calls. I did it every day because I met someone, back to the point, right? Met someone at Funnel Hacking Live who had me on his podcast, and he was like, you know what I do, Ashley? I was like, what do you do? And he was like, I do a daily webinar. And I was like, genius, I want to do that. How more quickly can I validate a webinar if I could just do it every day for 10 days and get it ready to go? So the reps, I see clients, I had a bad launch, nobody bought. Nobody's supposed to buy. They're like, what? I was like, you're supposed to fail before you succeed. That's how you know you can handle success. How else will you be tested if you can't handle a failure? I'm like, and you're supposed to fail publicly if you really want to be somebody.
Come on.
They're like, what do you mean? I was like, you want to really win? Be embarrassed publicly. Let them talk about you, ridicule you, let you feel embarrassed and ashamed, and take it all in. Yeah. And then get back up and you go and crush it. You go and do it again right in their faces. Like, if you really want to be a beast, fail in front of some folks and let them look at you like you're stupid. And then look at them back when you've made it on the other side.
Diving a bit more into that, I think that's a great segue into just entrepreneurship as a whole, because people will hear you say these numbers about like, oh, she made 100,000 here and 2.6 million there and a couple million there. And for them, in their mind, it's like, okay, she went from law firm to making all this money, as if there was like no in between. And even now, I'm sure at your stage, there are losses or there are setbacks that come along with, like, you don't just wake up every single day and it's just boom money. There's things that are going to happen along the way to where there are probably some seasons of business where you have to take 2 steps back before you take those 5 steps forward. Talk about the side of, for where you are right now in your entrepreneurial journey, that doesn't make it to Instagram, that people don't hear about on the podcast, but is the reality of what comes with this, so that they don't think it's just a Cinderella story where everybody's just going to come in, make $1 million on their first webinar and just be successful out the gate.
You're not. Jason Fladley, I consider him a friend. I hope Jason considers me a friend too, but he said something at WebinarCon, and it was the best disclaimer I've ever heard in my entire life. He said, your results aren't going to sniff the panties of my results. And he said that because he was like, everyone needs these disclaimers that it's not going to just instantly happen. Yeah. And it's not. Our first year in business, we made $800. Now, the next year, I started in September, so September, October, November, December, $800. Nothing about that said you should keep going.
Right.
The next year, we had 2 months. We didn't make anything the first 2 months of the year. The last 6 months of the next year, we made over $100,000. But I had to be consistent every single day, not making money. And not only did I have to be consistent, I had to be hopeful and happy. Because entrepreneurship is about, like, can you enjoy the journey more than the result?
Yeah.
If all you want is the result, you'll give up on the journey.
Fact.
Oh, you'll give up in the journey. We lost $1 million in 2023. Yeah. We lost $1 million in business.
I heard my chest.
Lost $1 million in business and survived to tell the story. But I'll tell you this, that was our most profitable year in business. So we lost $1 million in business. And I think it was just the grace of God, honestly. Like, some things I wish I could be like, and all we did was this 3-step framework. But I feel like God just sustained me, because what happened was I got caught up. Like, I started smelling myself. That's what the old folks say. They're like, don't be smelling yourself. Like, I started smelling myself. I started getting flippant with my husband. I was like, I want you, but I don't need you. I started believing the hype that my clients, like, really loved me. And at an event in 2023, it may have been 2024. No, it was 2024, and we lost $1 million, I think. Yeah. So 2023, we have this client event, and it was just horrible. I didn't take care of myself. I didn't sleep enough. I didn't get enough sleep. I ended up having a mental breakdown on stage publicly. And I am someone who prepares, okay? I do not like looking out of place, being out of place, talking out of place. I told you about the chokehold that the spelling had me in.
Right.
Like, I really don't like being embarrassed publicly. But I was embarrassed publicly. I had a mental breakdown on stage, and my clients didn't know what was happening. But instead of asking, some of them, not all of them, because shout out to my real ones. Y'all real. But some of them just started, like, going off on me, posting about me online, saying I'm crazy. I don't take care of my mental health. No one should work with her. No one should trust her. She traumatized us at the event, blah, blah, blah. Take it. They saw me curse on stage. And so that's not good. I take responsibility for not sleeping and doing all the things. That's one of the downsides of entrepreneurship, is that what happened at that event was what has probably happened to every entrepreneur at some point or another. The night before my pitch at my event. Now, I told you my event's $100, every 100 people, $1 million. Night before my event, my launch manager, who controls the funnels and all the links for all of our sales, she loses power. She's in Trinidad. None of the links are up. None of the links have been tested. And I decided to stay up and help the team fix it. Got 2 hours of sleep before doing a 2.5-hour pitch. Crazy, because that event still made $1-something million. But in the process, there was so much fallout. We lost so many clients who just were like, nah, like, I can't trust you to coach me anymore. Like, you made a mistake. And several of them were like, we had you on a pedestal. We thought you were better than this. And it's like, I've done a bad job of showing you that I'm a human. Like, I did not do a good job. I allowed you to look at me like I was your Jesus, your little mini Jesus, And I try to be more transparent now, because mental health is a real thing. And if you don't sleep, it will mess up your brain chemistry. That is a physical organ in your body, and it will shut down. And you don't know the results of that. And it affects everyone so differently. But it was like catastrophic for me from an embarrassment standpoint. Had a client like blast us online. Now, this same client 24 hours before went on stage and said I was the best coach ever, helped her make over $150,000, used my name in the streets. I ended up arbitrating against her and winning a close to 6-figure judgment against her, because she forgot I am a lawyer. Good one at that, because I will sue you. So that was unfortunate. But yeah, it was bad. It was so bad. I mean, and you're talking about, and then here's the thing. I didn't say anything to this person publicly. Right. I waited 2 years later until I won the arbitration and then addressed it. I just let it ride. Like, I just let people say what they wanted to say. I made a public statement to everyone who came to the event. It was like, I'm so sorry. This is what happened. I hope you all will forgive me. I'll take better care of myself, blah, blah, blah. And then I had to take enough accountability to be like, you know what? I do have to take better care of myself. So I lost 40 pounds before the next event, trained like it was an Olympic race, got a brain scan, figured out how much sleep my brain needs to function, hired a medical doctor to literally sit with me and go over my brain scan and tell me what I need to eat, gave up carbs, gave up sugar, gave up alcohol completely, prayed more. I changed my entire makeup, because I was like, okay, God, I know you won't give me my dream if it'll kill me. I know you won't. You're too good of a God for that. And I also know that you'll never allow me to have more than my character can handle because I've submitted my life to you. And I think that's the dangerous but beautiful part about being a believer and being saved is like, if you say, God, I'm yours, that means he can rearrange the blessings you've prayed for until you're ready, not just to get it, but to sustain it. And so there's some levels of wisdom and of depth and of grace that I just would not have gotten unless I failed publicly, lost $1 million, realigned my values. I had to apologize to my husband. I was like, I got caught up. I really thought these people out here love me. Like, I forgot where love really was. Like, I really was like drinking the Kool-Aid. And it's so funny because I'm like, I plan to have millions of people, following us and millions of people impacting us. I couldn't handle 1,000.
Come on.
I couldn't handle 1,000 women or 100 women saying like, we love you, Ashley. I'm the queen. You know what I mean? And it's just like forgetting, first off, it's only by God's grace that I can do some of this stuff. Second off, my husband is absolutely incredible. And how dare I disrespect the love that he has bestowed with me by saying I want him but don't need him. I need him and I want him. And I think I also did a bad job of modeling what a successful woman in a marriage should look like. And that is predominantly my clients. And so I really had to just look at myself and be like, dang, okay, what am I going to do? The next thing that we did is we started taking annual sabbaticals where it's mainly about the family. Like 30 days off, no work. If I do work, it's minimal and approved by him first. But for the main, it's me, him, and my daughter, and we're traveling the world. We go to Ghana, we go to Thailand, we go to Bali every year, and we just hang out. We read 3-4 hours a day. My daughter goes to kids club. We have nannies in other countries that like help us out with her, and we just enjoy each other. And it's really sacred and important to us where we know every year we're going to have dedicated time where it's just about us because I never want to lose my priorities again. And I won't. I mean, that also helped me to realize, because when you're coaching people, you got to tell them what they don't want to hear.
Yep.
I wasn't confident enough at that time to tell them, because I saw messy in them before that event, but it wasn't directed at me. So because it wasn't directed at me, I didn't call them out on it. And I should have, because they hired me to lead them, not to be liked by them. And I broke that relationship by not leading them. When I saw them being messy with other women in the program, I should have been like, hey, come over here. We don't do that. That's not how a woman behaves. That's not how you're going to behave in my program. That's beneath the standard of character that we allow here. And so now when people come into my mastermind, I tell them, hey, I want to be really clear with you. If I see some mess, you're either going to get a conversation or you're going to get kicked out. And if you are not okay with me calling you when I see bad character, you can't work with me. Because business isn't just about can you sell something. If you want to do it sustainably and you want to have peace, joy, and happiness and wealth, you're going to have to be the person that can handle all of that. And I went to my coach and I told him, I messaged Lamar, he'll tell you, I was like, hey, if you see anything in me character-wise that I need to work on that you think will impair my ability to be astronomically successful, tell me. I'm giving you permission to tell me. Because when you're a confident person, people won't tell you.
Yeah.
They'll just be like, oh, she ain't gonna listen.
Right.
Oh, it ain't gonna work. Now, notice I said my coach. Now, people be in my DMs and I ain't ask you not one.
Well, I'm glad you
shouldn't have wore that green,
yeah.
Sister Kirkwood. The devil is all in the green. You should have wore the white or something. Like, I don't need that because people be going too far. But I give certain people permission. Like, check me. You see something, you let me know. My husband is one of those people. That's why he's like that, because he's really my protector in that way as well. Like, I see you getting a little, like, watch yourself. Like, and I like that. I'm like, okay, good. Because he's not impressed by anything. I be geeked out. I met TD Jakes. I was freaked out. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. But like, Chris be so cool. And we meet so many amazing people, but I have to be confident enough and be sure enough to be like, okay, God, no matter who you want me to lead, what you want me to do, and what you want me to say, I'm comfortable enough in who I am to show up fully. And to tell them what's right and to tell them what's wrong, regardless of who they are or what I think they could do for me.
Powerful. So at this stage, with the highs and the lows that you've gone through from trial attorney to your early stages of entrepreneurship, even to where you are now, what would you say at this point for you is your North Star? What is Ashley Kirkwood chasing?
It's interesting because I don't know if I'm chasing anything. Right now, it really feels like I'm being guided. It's a different, like, It's a different feeling. I remember how it felt to chase. Like when I wanted to make my first $1 million, I was really chasing that. It was like I was doing everything. I was doing all the launches for it. And now I'm not looking to move in haste. I'm looking to move correctly. So I'm guided towards solving the small business sales problem for entrepreneurs worldwide. That's our biggest mission. And particularly my sub calling, or like where I really feel like God has me focused on right now, is helping women, particularly women who look successful to everyone on the outside, to have a safe place to be like, you know what, I'm not 100% okay. My sales, like I'm making 6 figures in my day job, but I'm not making enough to build wealth for my family. We don't have anything in the 401k, and I don't love where I'm at right now. And a lot of them are trying to figure out, is it possible with everything going on and everything that they see to have the success of their dreams and still have a marriage and still be surrendered and submitted to God. And I think it's important for me to model that right now, like to model what true success based on your value system looks like. So we want to help entrepreneurs. We want to build a $100 million company for sure. But I'm not chasing it. I actually think it'll be easier than building to our first few million.
If you're not chasing, you feel like you're guided. What do you feel like is the legacy that you're currently leaving behind at this moment?
Confidence. Confidence in the right things. Like confidence in something that the world can't touch. I think that we get confidence in our degrees. We get confidence in our titles, like mom, wife. But I think having confidence in who God created you to be, as like, I hate like speaking in cliche, because I know that someone's like, I need something specific. I need a step by step. Like, come to my webinar, 3 steps to being confident. But like, I think it's confidence in something that people can't touch, because right now with the chronic comparison that I'm seeing, it is robbing the world of originality and authenticity. And I think for a lot of entrepreneurs, if they could figure out how to be themselves, like the themselves before they covered for corporate, before they covered for motherhood, before they submitted to marriage, before they, like, who are you really? What is your real voice? You would have what we call your unique selling power. Like, it's something that makes you, it's almost like your fingerprint in the industry. It gives you the ability to show up in an industry that may be crowded with everybody, but as you. So I think the legacy we're leaving behind is confidence in that women really can have it all, and it doesn't have to look like what you thought it looked like.
You've seen people post their 50K approvals online, but have you ever wondered why it hasn't happened for you yet? You're clocking in at your 9 to 5, you're building your business after hours, you're even stacking your 401k and setting money aside for investments. So on paper, you're doing all the right things, but here's the problem. Growth feels slower than it should, opportunities keep passing you by because the capital isn't there, and you start wondering if building a real legacy for your family is even possible. It's not about effort or commitment, because you've already proven that you have both. The missing piece is having the proper structure. That's why inside of our free masterclass, the Fast Track to Capital, I'm going to show you a step-by-step process on how entrepreneurs just like you are securing $50,000 to $100,000 in capital safely without wasting years on trial and error. So if you want to secure your seat, click the link above or below this video to save your spot, and don't keep grinding without the structure that gets real results.
As I know we have to get you out of here, but as we start to close,
that's the preacher's close. As we start as we start on our way.
As we start to wind down.
Right.
One final question for you. If you were sitting in my seat and sitting across from you was Ashley 10 years into the future, and you could only ask her one question, but she could only answer you back in one sentence, what would you ask her, and what do you think Ashley 10 years into the future would answer with?
I would ask, you look happy. How did you build a $100 million company with peace?
And what would her answer be back? And she could only answer in one sentence.
I started enjoying private time with God more than enjoying public time with people.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm taking that and I'm running with it. I'm taking that and I'm running with it. Ashley Kirkwood, thank you so much for your time here on the show. your camera here. Let the people know where they can find you, but more importantly, what you have going on.
Yeah, so you all can find me at speakyourwaytocash.com. We have tons of goodies for you all there. Right at the top, you'll be able to come to our next virtual event. We're doing the Land Big Clients Challenge. And you can find me in the school group. We have a free school community called Speak Your Way to Cash. And I'm also on YouTube at The Ashley Nicole Show. So I'll see y'all around.
She definitely will. And I will see you guys around as well. And if you haven't already, what are you doing? Take a second, take a minute, take an hour out of your day right here, right now to go ahead, hit that like button, show the episode some love, tell a friend to come back and rewatch the episode again. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Marvin Francois. That is the always incredible Mrs. Ashley Kirkwood. You guys have been good. We've been great. This has been amazing. Thank you all. God bless. And until next time, peace.